I think we're streaming now. Let's see what Game Theorist has to say. Let me open up the chat. I'm on OBS right now because I have to. If I wanted a reaction, I could do the broadcaster exploit, but I haven't downloaded that one yet. So let me just let me go through this one. Let me just set this one up, and then. All right. So I got the chat right here on my phone. So let me can you guys hear me all right? You guys good on the volume? All right, let me let's see what he says. Okay, so this, let's see, there's two of them. There's Scariest Moment, Hiding, and Don't Trust Yuri. All right, I guess we'll start with the first one. So, and I'll put the original links of the video in the description after the stream so you guys can check it out. So let's just, I'll give my opinion after.
Oh, no way, a text message. Who's it from? Aw, Jacksepticeye, how sweet. And there's a picture? Wait, that's not how I wrote this gag. Another one? What's going on here?
Wait. What the heck? Steph! Steph, are you pranking me?
You promised you'd spend time with me, Matt. Me. And only me. 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 Now let's make a theory together.
Cool. All right then.
Hello, Internet! Welcome to Game Theory, where it's our goal to systematically prove that everything in your life is secretly terrifying. Over the years, we've made you fear public Wi-Fi, minimum wage jobs, and even the house next door. But today, we're gonna talk about a game that'll make you stop trusting the very computer you're using to watch this video.
Heck, I don't trust anything. And I don't trust this even though I spent a lot of money on it. Why do you think I got Norton? I don't even trust Norton anyways. But anyways...
Unless you're part of the 75% of users who watch this show on a tablet, phone, console, or TV. In which case, just pretend you're scared too. Ooh, okay? Okay. Looking at its Steam store page, Doki Doki Literature Club seems harmless enough. A cutesy, pastel-tinged dating sim starring 4 adorable waifus, as the kids say, all of whom you can try your hand at wooing for the low, low price of free. But look a little...
It's practically free! Go download it now, it's free! Except if you want to buy the extra stuff for $10, but it's free.
Closer, and it quickly becomes clear that this...
That's what happens when you get a free game. You lose all sleep at night.
Game isn't the fun, light-hearted visual novel that it makes itself out to be. For starters, the top tag on the Steam store page is psychological horror, which makes it seem misclassified. And at the bottom of the game's description, which is a cute little greeting note from the Literature Club's president, Monica, you'll find a very stern warning in bold letters. This game is not suitable for children or those who are easily disturbed. And in case you missed that one, the game greets you with that message yet again as you boot it up. One final reminder...
It's pretty much telling you, hey listen, you're not gonna sleep at night after you play this game. I'm telling you like 3 times. You are not gonna sleep after playing this game. You still wanna play it? Alright. Hope you enjoy staying up at night and having a gun next to you.
Reminder that this isn't meant for the faint of heart. It seems like a joke, right? But let me assure you, it is no joke. So in that spirit, this is your last chance to stop watching this video before I spoil the heck out of it. It is...
Yep. I mean, you guys have already seen this, so you don't have to worry about it. For people who haven't, spoilers.
Without exaggeration, one of the best written, most surprising game stories of this year, even if it takes about 2 hours of fairly slow-paced visual novel action before you get to the really good stuff. Play it yourself, you're not going to regret it, or just watch our highlight playthroughs on GT Live. You'll get the point. Okay, so if you're still here after that and you haven't played the game or watched our GT Live playthrough, which I'm sure is still a lot of you, let me give you a quick rundown. During your first playthrough, Doki Doki Literature Club seems like a normal visual novel with a pretty neat mechanic of composing poems exams in order to woo the various girls in the club. Your childhood friend Sayori, quiet bookish Yuri, and young aggressive Natsuki. But at the end of your first run, strange things begin happening. It all starts when Sayori succumbs to her depression and commits suicide. Soon after, she's deleted from the story entirely, and you're kicked back to the title screen. But something is clearly not right this time. As you replay the game, the world...
Mr. Stano, how you doing? We just finished our first stream, which was actually completing the entire Doki Doki, which was pretty much doing the final ending, which was actually a great ending, by the way. The replay will be uploaded later, and we're just going through the game theorists because people wanted me to react to it live, so that's what I'm doing now. And we'll talk more after we're done, because there's gonna be 2 videos we're gonna react to.
The world begins breaking apart as it tries to move forward without Sayori in it. Eventually, you discover that the club's president, Monica, has become self-aware within the game and is manipulating the game's code, even files on your very computer, in a desperate attempt to make you, the player, love her. When nothing else works, she deletes everything else in the game, leaving just Monica. Just Monica and you in the club room with nothing to do but talk. Forever. At least until you do what she did to the other characters and delete her character file in order to save everyone else and reach the true ending. Doki Doki Literature Club intentionally leaves a lot dangling for gamers to figure out on their own. But out of all of it, one question has been bugging me nonstop since I finished playing it. What is the story behind Monica? The game presents her as simply being a character in a visual novel who suddenly becomes self-aware, but all of that doesn't quite add up. The way DDLC is designed, the way that Monica manipulates it, and the things that she says in her extended conversation with you all hint that there's something much more sinister going on with her. And that is the theory for today. That's right, dear theorists. The hidden truth of Doki Doki Literature Club is that Monica is from a different game. Monica is Flowey, who also happens to be Porky from Earthbound, who's really the purple guy from FNAF.
What? My mind just... Okay, what? Okay, whatever. Well, first I say, hope you get some sleep, Mr. Stano, and I hope you don't lose your mind at work. I'll be praying for you, buddy.
Sorry, the rest of the Theorist team just pulled me aside for a quick intervention.
Yeah.
Apparently I'm banned from making any links between this game and Undertale.
Yes.
Or any game and Undertale. Really, I'm not allowed to touch Undertale anymore. But in all seriousness...
Yes, please don't touch Undertale, because once we go back into Undertale, people go nuts. Believe me, my brain hurts still thinking about it. Actually, my brain hurts going trying to get through FNAF anyways, but whatever.
Monica is from a different game. And not just Monica either. Doki Doki has a lot more to it than first meets the eye, even once you make it through the main story. Because the ending isn't even the ending. When you restart the game after deleting Monica, Sayori assumes the role of club president now, and things are pretty normal until the end of the first day, when you get perhaps the biggest twist of them all. Sayori now is self-aware, expressing the exact same desire to hoard you to herself that Monica did. So there's gotta be something that at least Monica and Sayori have.
You've never heard of Undertale? Okay. CJ. Undertale is one of the best games I've ever played. If you want to watch it, go to my gaming channel, CFN Gaming, and look at my Undertale Pacifist Route playlist. And watch that. I didn't finish Genocide because I can't beat Sans, but watch my Pacifist Route. You're gonna love it. Watch that. And give me your feedback. Comment and give me your feedback.
Have in common, and possibly the other girls as well. That's making all of this possible.
Yep, terrible fandom.
See, there's something about the way Doki Doki Literature Club is designed that doesn't quite add up. Throughout your second playthrough, Monica reveals that she's been manipulating events behind the scenes the whole time. That she's been messing with Yuri, Natsuki, and Sayori's character files by amplifying their worst traits so that you'll like them less and you'll like her more. That's why Yuri goes from being a little bit clingy to being self-harming and obsessive, why Natsuki goes from being flirty mean to just being a plain old jerk, and why Sayori goes from being mildly depressed to suicidal in the span of a few days. These are all the consequences of Monica haphazardly adjusting their character parameters behind the scenes, but hold on a second. That might seem to make sense on the surface, but if you actually stop and think about it, that's not really how visual novels work at all. Visual novel characters aren't AI-based. Their behavior is determined entirely by what's written in the game's script, the game's dialogue script, not
Yeah.
programming script. I can see how that gets confusing. There's simply no need for a character in a dating sim to have complicated behaviors like this. But what if they were created for a more complex game? What if the characters in Doki Doki Literature Club were intended to be used in a different game altogether? One where they would need to have more complex, believable responses to a greater range of player choice? What if
Natsuki is Shepard from Mass Effect? Wouldn't that be a twist? Natsuki's actually female Shepard from Mass Effect. Okay, the next time I play Mass Effect, I'm gonna create Natsuki as Shepard. Natsuki Shepard. If I can get her hair color right, that'd be hilarious.
their assets were simply repurposed from that game in order to make this dating sim? It's not just speculation. The clues are there, hidden in plain sight in Doki Doki's central mechanic, the poems. Over the course of the first act, you read poems from all the other club members, which seems pretty innocent. Sure, reading between the lines, you can start to get hints that Sayori is depressed, that Yuri is prone to self-harm, and that Natsuki is being abused by her father, but it's nothing overt. In the game's second act, you're given 3 randomly selected special poems out of a possible 11 that makes these hints much more overt. But there's one of these poems in particular that really stands out. A huge block of redacted text with only a few letters left visible, spelling out the question. That would be unsettling enough on its own, but if there's one thing Scott Cawthon has trained me to do, it's to run dark images through Photoshop and play around with sliders. If you crank up the exposure on that image all the way to max capacity, suddenly it becomes possible to read the full text, and man, it is weird. Irregular heartbeat, heart palpitations, arrhythmia. I search and search, eyes scanning everything I can find on their symptoms. What is this? Shortness of breath? Chest pain? Dizziness? No, this is all wrong. Alyssa's symptoms are nowhere near this simple. I've seen it twice now. The screams of pain, sickeningly pale skin, vomiting blood. There is no other explanation other than that Renier's information was a complete and utter lie.
Wait, what? Okay, we got this. We got the crazy. We got the special girl. But who's Reiner? Who the heck is Reiner? Who is Reiner? Oh boy.
This can't all be coincidence. It's not possible. I don't know how much of this Renier is behind, but I do know this. There is something horribly wrong with this family, and I accepted the invitation to become a part of it. I can hear Alyssa's screams through the walls now. I listen helplessly. Renier said he would be with her shortly. Is he in her room now? Why is she screaming even louder than before? Chilling, right? This creepy letter is literally hidden right in front of your face while you play this game. And what's it all mean? Well, those opening lines make it sound like someone who's trying to identify an illness. Irregular heartbeat, heart palpitations, arrhythmia are all possible problems of the heart, so it's not so much this person is making a diagnosis, but rather it's someone trying to read the symptoms he's seeing and figure out what the diagnosis is. It's a clinical assessment, which means that the speaker is a doctor of some kind. And notice the words he uses. Their symptoms. It's an illness affecting multiple people, a family, as we see later in the letter. A family that apparently you can join, almost like a cult. It's also worth noting that this doctor who's speaking has some degree of detachment from this girl Alyssa, almost like she's a research subject of some kind, possibly part of a human experiment. And when you put all this together, a cult performing experiments on young girls, it starts sounding familiar. We hear about human experiments exactly 2 times in Doki Doki Literature Club, both times when Yuri describes the plot of The Portrait of Markov, the book that she wants to read with
That's
us.
true.
A book which has a, quote, ominous-looking eye symbol on the front cover. In the first act, Yuri makes it sound relatively innocent enough. Quote, basically it's about this girl in high school who moves in with her long-lost younger sister, but as soon as she does so, her life gets really strange. She gets targeted by these people who escaped from a human experiment prison, and while her life is in danger, she needs to desperately choose who to trust, end quote. In the second act, Yuri's personality gets a bit more unhinged, and she gives us a creepier description of what's actually going on these pages. Quote again, basically it's about this religious camp that's turned into a human experiment prison. All the people trapped there have this trait that turns them into killing machines that lust for blood. But the facility gets even worse, and they start selectively breeding people by cutting off their limbs and affixing them to, and then she cuts off. That's a lot of information for a fake book, especially when you compare it to what we learn about Natsuki's favorite manga. And that's because what Yuri tells us about the portrait of Markov isn't just a short snippet of text meant to create the illusion of a bigger story, it is the bigger story here. It's the plot of the horror game that Team Salvato is working on. The game that all 4 of these characters originate from. And if you think I'm done, oh no, we have just scratched the surface. We can dig deeper to uncover more about this horror game, including its title and release date, as well as how these 4 girls fit into the overall story, because Team Salvato left a whole ARG's worth of content hidden in Doki Doki's game files. If you thought that the Literature Club was interesting before, simply because it had these cool meta moments and jump scares, well, get ready. There's a whole other game here, just resting underneath the surface, waiting to be puzzled together, that'll start to make you really question everything you thought you knew about Sayori, Natsuki, Monica, and especially Yuri. But it's all way too much to cover in this one video, so ring the bell to subscribe, help us get closer to the glorified paperweight, so that way you can know when later this week, yeah, should be just a couple days, when part 2 comes out and things start to get really crazy. I am already excited for this new game, and I think once you see what I and a bunch of
Okay, so before we get into the second game, first of all, you're right. Mind blown. Secondly, so I guess there's a new game, The Portrait of Markov. Was that the name of the game that he's working on? I'm definitely going to stream that on this channel, and I want you guys to support. And we are gonna do part 2 in a second. But this is way crazier. And it's starting to make me think of what I'm gonna do for my special now. I have to rechange a lot of things a little bit, but we're gonna find out what the second part is. So let's just get right into it, alright?
Just Monica. Just Monica. Just Monica. Just Monica. Just Monica.
Okay.
Just Monica.
Okay.
Just Monica.
This is really annoying.
Just Monica.
Thank you.
So last time we began covering the creepy hidden mystery of...
You should not have deleted me, Monica. I am still here, and I still want my Yuri. Long term.
Hello,
Cool.
Internet! Welcome to Game Theory, and my apologies for any technical difficulties we may be having during this series. So in part 1 of this theory, we start to unearth a horror game hidden underneath the cute facade that is Doki Doki Literature Club. We found a letter hidden in plain sight alluding to human experiments and cults, all topics that appear in Yuri's book, The Portrait of Markov, a book that just so happens to have a mysterious eye on the cover. This all led me to concoct the theory that the 4 girls from the club are actually characters from another game. A horror game, in fact, being produced by Team Salvato, and that this is the reason that Monica turned sentient in Doki Doki. Her AI isn't meant to be contained in a mere visual novel game. But today is where things really start to go off the rails as we dive deeper into the Portrait of Markov mystery and cover the game within this game that's itself hiding a 3rd game. Oh yeah, and by the way, if you thought Monica was bad, well then, you should start getting really scared of Yuri. As you'll know if you finish the game, the character files in the game's directory play a...
Oh no. Oh boy. Yuri's gonna get worse.
Huge role in the plot. Monica manipulates and deletes them one by one in her quest to make you love her. And ultimately, you have to delete Monica's file in order to reach the game's true ending. But there's more in these files than just character information. Each of them is a puzzle in and of themselves, left in the game to be solved by the fans. And 2 fans of DDLC in particular stepped up to the challenge. Reddit users MitHost and WarChamp7 dug deep into these files and uncovered their secrets, posting their findings to the visual novels subreddit, and the lore bits they uncovered broke the Portrait of Markov mystery wide open. So the character files on your computer start as .chr files, which isn't a real file format that programs can recognize, but that doesn't mean you can't open them. If you use a text editor like Notepad, you can absolutely see what's inside, and that's exactly what they did, with the text inside each file giving them clues as to what they should be doing next. Something about this visual novel makes me go through puberty. Yuri's file was the easiest to crack. It started as a bunch of random letters and numbers, but that pile of letter vomit was actually text encoded in base 64. It's an encoding technique that converts binary data into text, specifically ASCII text, the same stuff that Bob built his army using a few years ago on YouTube. That may sound like it's really hard to decode, but all you have to do is copy it and paste it into a base 64 decoder, like this one right here. When you decrypt Yuri's file, you'll see that it's actually a short story, a creepypasta which the game's director Dan Salvato confirmed that he wrote over 2 years ago and just stuck in the game as an Easter egg. It's a spooky story to be sure, but it seems to be just that, an Easter egg, a red herring. It is nothing compared to everything else hidden in these other character files. Natsuki's file came next, which, when opened in a text editor, gave the clue that this should be opened as a PNG file. Changing the extension resulted in this odd discolored image. But for anyone who's had some experience playing around with Photoshop, this color scheme may remind you of what happens when you invert the colors on a picture. It produces those signature blues and grays. So reversing that inversion, the picture suddenly starts to look like a real picture. And not just any sort of picture, a face. Rotate the image and wrap that texture around a 3D cone, then look at the cone from above, and it turns into an image of a mysterious blonde woman with whited out eyes.
Oh, dear God. Oh. Oh, shoot. Well then. I think we found her.
This woman doesn't resemble any of the other characters in the game, or anyone talked about by him. So perhaps then she's a character from the other game being developed by Team Salvato. Maybe it's Alyssa, the girl suffering the strange illness that we heard mentioned in the letter found in the last episode. Monica's character file, when converted into a PNG, turns out to be an image of a ring with a square of black and white static in the middle. But that's not just any static, it's a QR code, was what I initially thought, but nope, it's actually way more complicated than that. And huge compliments to the guys on Reddit for solving this one. It's actually binary. Computer language. It's a bunch of ones and zeros, where one number is represented by the color black and the other number is represented by the color white. So what Midhost did was to take those black and white pixels and convert them line by line into strings of binary, then convert that binary sequence into alphanumeric text using an online converter, which resulted in yet another pile of letters and numbers. But these should be starting to look a bit more familiar, right? It's more base 64 code, which, when converted, reveals a note that really starts to bring all this together.
Can you hear me? Who are you? I can't see you, but I know you're there. Yeah, you can definitely hear me. You've been watching for a while now, right? I guess I should introduce myself or something. My name is... Actually, that's stupid. You obviously already know my name. Sorry. Anyway, I'm guessing if you were able to put a stop to this, you would have done it by now. I mean, I know you're not, like, evil or anything, because you've already helped me so much. I really should thank you for that. For everything you've done. You're really like a friend to me. So, thank you. So much. I think more than anything else, I really don't want it all to be for nothing. Everyone else is dead. Maybe you already know that. I'm sure you do, actually. But it doesn't have to be that way, right? Well, there's a lot of stuff I don't understand. I don't even know if it's possible for me to understand it, but I know that this isn't my only story. I can see that now, really clearly, and I think everyone else has had that same kind of experience. Some kind of deja vu. It's the third eye, right? Anyway, I could be totally wrong about this, but I really think you might be able to do something. I think you might be able to go back, or however you want to put it, to go back and tell them what's going to happen. If they know ahead of time, then they should be able to avoid it. They should. If they remember their time with me in the other worlds, they should remember what I tell them. Yeah, I really think this might be possible, but it's up to you. I'm sorry for always being so, never mind. I know that's wrong. This is my story. It's time to be an epic hero. Both of us. 2018!
Wow, that...
Yo! I'm hyped now! We're gonna save them! This is gonna be lit.
It is a lot to unpack, so let's get to it. First, it seems pretty clear that this was written by Monica, as evidenced by the "you've been watching me for a while now, and you already know my name" lines. It also seems to be written after
I'm gonna keep watching because I got a little bit ahead of stuff. Sorry.
Doki Doki's true ending, where she destroys the game. Notice how she comments that there's something you as a player can't stop, something that's killed everyone else, which is why she destroyed the game in the first place. But now come the bizarre parts. She says that she's experienced some sort of deja vu and that this isn't her only story, supporting the idea that she's coming from somewhere else, perhaps, once again, a different game. And it's not just her either, it's all 4 of them. Quote, everyone else has had the same kind of experience. What's most exciting though is her suggesting that perhaps we as the player can, quote, go back and tell them what's going to happen. If they know ahead of time, they should be able to avoid it, meaning that we're gonna be tasked with trying to jog their memories, or that in this new game there'll be some sort of Easter egg calling back to the events of Doki Doki. Quote, if they remember their time with me in other worlds. Other worlds, like other games that these characters have been used in. That maybe we can do something in these other games to warn the girls and prevent Doki Doki from ever happening in the first place. And the conclusion is pretty much the most blatant. Team Salvato has another game coming in 2018, and in this game, Monica isn't the villain. She's the hero. Of everything in Monica's letter though, one reference in particular really stands out, blaming this deja vu on what she calls the third eye. And it's not just Monica either. This third eye is hidden throughout your time with the literature club. During Act 2, you're always given 2 regular poems. Once the game starts to break, the first poem that Natsuki gives you is a string of random letters and numbers, which at this point we're old pros at decoding. Using base 64, the text reveals a creepy hidden poem titled Open Your Third Eye, which describes the narrator taking pleasure in stabbing someone to death. The second poem that Yuri gives you seems, at first glance, to be a huge block of random words, but hidden in plain sight at the end of it is another ominous passage that describes a compulsive stabbing and concludes with the line, quote, the lust continues to linger through my veins. An ache in my muscles stems from the unreleased tension experienced by my entire body. Her third eye is drawing me closer. That's 3 characters now who've brought up this third eye. The same eye that happens to be described on the cover of the portrait of Markov. And remember what Yuri said about the plot of the book last episode. All the people trapped in the human experiments at the religious camp have this trait that turns them into killing machines that lust for blood. That trait is undeniably the third eye. All of this points to Team Salvato's new game being about human experimentation, researching a psychic phenomenon that invokes uncontrollable bloodlust in the people exposed to it. Which brings
Oh, isn't that not creepy?
us to the last piece of the puzzle, Sayori's character file, which is by far the trickiest to decipher. In order to unlock its secrets, you need to convert it into an OGG audio file, which sounds like a lot of random noise at first. But when you open that audio in a visualizer program and then apply a spectrograph to that visualization, you reveal a QR code that, when scanned, takes you to the website projectlibitina.com. Whew, that is a ton of work just to reach a page of plain text. But the information contained within that text is eye-opening. Third eye-opening, that is. The page is an examination report dated January 5th, 2004, which describes horrifying experiments being performed on a 3-year-old psychic girl with the first name Libitina. Her last name is left blank. Another blank name appears at the bottom of the page, another subject who was terminated earlier. Based on the context of the redacted poem we covered last episode, it's my guess that this girl is Alyssa. Even the number of letters in Alyssa match the number of redacted letters in the name. That's far from the only parallel to the portrait of Markov that we see here, though. A note to the head doctor at the bottom of the page reads, quote, you are choosing to avoid the measures necessary to prevent a repeat scenario, Doctor. Will you not have as much faith in your personnel as you do in your God? End quote. Yuri says that the book is set in a religious camp that was turned into a human experiment prison, which lines up pretty well with this mysterious doctor's reported devotion to a god of some kind, and the redacted poem's allusion to joining this mysterious family. Judging from the various notes on this webpage, the tests performed on the 3-year-old were all about activating Libitina's third eye, that lust for blood, which proved successful, but then, based on the failed test results Libitina is then unable to suppress. But not only are we getting more and more clues as to the next game Team Salvato is working on, we're actually seeing exactly how our favorite club mates are gonna fit into the story, because I am confident 3-year-old Libitina grows up to be one of the 4 girls we see in Doki Doki Literature Club. And what's more, I can prove exactly which one it is. Libitina is a 3-year-old, and her height and weight are both average for her age, so there's not much to go on there. But if we look a bit further down the page, we see a list of noted behaviors that the researchers say should be ignored in future examinations. Twitching, vocal tics, biting, epiphoria, vomiting, screaming, harm to examiner, harm to self, misplaced laughter.
Yuri.
There's one character who we see display almost all of these traits during Doki Doki Literature Club, particularly in that second act, Yuri. Once the game bugs out, Yuri's dialogue becomes the most erratic. We repeatedly see her.
I could see that. To the point where she can't even help herself. Oh, Game Theorist, you've done so well this time.
Her eyes twitching when she talks to us, she screams a fair bit, laughs erratically at a few points, and that bit about self-harm? Hell, I don't think I need to explain that one. But these aren't the only clues that we have to go on. There are 2 more things that absolutely confirm that Yuri is Libitina. The first is her age. Libitina was born January 5th, 2001, which would make her 17 years old in 2018, the year that Project Libitina is set to release. As the only member of the Literature Club in senior year, Yuri is the only one of the girls in the right age range to be Libitina. But there's also one more piece of crucial evidence that absolutely clinches this theory, and the evidence isn't found in the game itself, or even in its data, or a random hidden webpage, but rather in the Doki Doki Literature Club merchandise store.
Are you serious? The merchandise place now? Well, so much for buying those keychains.
Yeah! This guy is hiding clues in more places than Scott Cawthon. Team Salvato might not be offering much in terms of merch items, but the few items that are present reveal some very interesting details. So let's look at the posters. 4 of them are simply CG of each girl taken straight from the game. Nothing too exciting there. Another 4 are creepy original artwork featuring iconic quotes from the characters. Between all of these, there's this running motif of the girls being tied up in a red string. Even Monica has a bow wrapped around her, but Yuri doesn't seem to possess these strings. In fact, all of the red strings seem to be emerging from her heart, from this flower, whatever this is, ensnaring all the other girls, an allusion to Libitina's psychic influence over everyone else. But if that doesn't convince you, there are 2 more posters for sale featuring original artwork. One of these is a surprisingly cute picture of Monica handing you the song she sings you at the end of the game. It's cute. Very cute. The last poster, called Yuri Unhinged, is a bit different. And when I say a bit different, I mean completely different from anything else in the game or on the site. It shows the quiet bookworm Yuri sitting in the classroom at sunset, toying with a knife. For someone unhinged, her posture seems oddly relaxed, even confident. In fact, it's the most confident we've ever seen her, like she's in full control of the situation. And behind her, we see all sorts of ominous text scrawled on the blackboard. And to her right, we see a poster with a big ol' Illuminati confirmed eye in the middle and the words
Third eye's watching you
scribbled along the top. This is the third eye, Yuri's third eye, and this is the only artwork where we see it depicted. Illuminati confirmed, Yuri as Libitina confirmed. Doki Doki Literature Club isn't just a free game made to promote Team Salvato's upcoming horror title, it's a part of Project Libitina. Monica is the upcoming game's protagonist, while Yuri is the monster at the center of the story.
Yo! Yuri is the antagonist! OMG, she's pulling the string this whole time. You know, I think Mark kind of saw that a little bit, but I love Yuri. Oh boy.
Libitina herself. This is why Yuri was so attached to the Portrait of Markov story. It is her story, and the disconnect from being put in the wrong game is the reason that Monica becomes self-aware. But hey, that's game theory.
Well, okay then. Mine has been exploded into millions of little pieces. I don't even know how to. I have no words. This is absolutely incredible. So now we're hyped for a new horror game that I'm going to stream on this channel when it comes out. It's gonna happen. Ladies and gentlemen, it's gonna happen on the CFN Nation. This is incredible. This is amazing. I have to think about this and process this, but this is absolutely incredible. And I have to rethink on the special now, because now I gotta rethink now and make it more connected to the new game, connected to all the details and stuff like that. But anyways, this was crazy. But anyways, thank you guys so much for joining me on the stream. This was amazing. I'm glad I watched this. I'm hyped for Salvato's new game coming out. We're gonna stream it. Hopefully we'll find things. Now we know who the hero is, Monica, the antagonist Yuri, which blew my mind. But anyways, anyway, so thank you guys so much for joining me. I gotta head out because I think it's getting late. It's 11:16. I gotta close it out for the night. So thank you guys so much for joining me, and wait until that special comes out, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.